All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Chris Berry with Castle Wealth Group, and we do these webinars. Try to do it every week on Wednesday, where we answer legal, financial, and tax planning questions that are submitted. So there's nothing planned or pre-prepared, so no slides or anything typically. It's just really answering any questions that come in through the week or any questions on the webinar. And I was like, start with something positive that's happened. And uh, whether it's family related or professionally, just started off with the right feel. So personally took a trip to Canada last week. That's why we weren't on the call. Took the family to Banff, Canada, which was beautiful. First time there. Then this weekend, my daughter had a beach soccer tournament that I was able to coach over in Grand Haven. So that was pretty fun as well. Took third place out of four, but it was still fun. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started with questions. And again, if you do have a legal, financial, tax planning question, feel free to put it in the Q&A right now. But what I'll do is share my screen. And well, I won't right now. So the first question someone submitted was with regards to Social Security. So the question is, when is the best time to claim Social Security? And the answer is what I learned in our first year of law school. Whenever someone asks us a question, answer with it depends, because it depends on your situation. Everyone's situation is a little bit different. But most people are looking at claiming Social Security, and anywhere, or everyone is looking at claiming Social Security anywhere from 62 to age 70. For most people these days, full retirement age is at age 67. If you're a little bit older, it might be 66 and some change. But for most people, full retirement age is 67. And if you were to claim Social Security prior to 67 and you're working, there could be some penalties to what you receive from Social Security. But everyone's situation is a little bit different. And especially if you're a married couple, there's hundreds, I think specifically 567 different Social Security timing strategies available in terms of like what year you claim, what time you claim, do you claim on your partners, things like that. So, and it is important to get it right because you really, there's some exceptions, but you really only have one chance to get this right. And one of the things that we have is we have some software where we can run the numbers. And I would say there's always like a numbers component to it, as well as like a psychology and peace of mind component. Um, because what I'll say is the longer you wait, typically the more benefits you're going to get up to age 70. And Social Security grows at 8% a year guaranteed, plus whatever the cost of living adjustment is. So if you're looking at creating an income stream, understand that that's going to grow the longer you wait. Now, some people say, well, Social Security might not be there when I take it, or what if there's cuts to Social Security? I say if you're anywhere around retirement age or approaching Social Security or receiving Social Security, chances are they're not going to make any big changes to that. I think what they're going to make changes to is full retirement age, which right now is 67. I think they're probably going to push that back in the future, but it's not going to be for anyone around Social Security now. It's probably going to be for people 20, 30 years out because there's a lot of people that depend entirely on Social Security. And so there's kind of two competing theories. One is looking at it from a peace of mind standpoint and maybe taking it earlier. And so one of the things we see is what we call our go-go years, our slow-go years, and our no-go years. So once you retire, that's when I was meeting with some clients today. They're spending a lot of money. They're updating the house, they're doing this, they're taking a trip, they're doing that. But then you go into your slow-go years as you get a little bit older, maybe into your 70s, 80s, and then kind of the no-go years where you're not traveling much the 90s. Um, so one approach would be to take it early, knowing that, hey, you're going to be spending more money. A couple problems with that. And the first thing is understand, okay, let's say you take it early, and then you pass away. Okay, well, that's fine. You took the money. Um, but let's say you take the money early and you live to 100. Okay, now understand that you're putting a deficit into your overall portfolio versus we flip it around. Let's say you take it later, say age 70, but then you pass away the next year. Well, you're dead. And so it doesn't really matter in terms of your income. The bigger concern is if you take it early, you take a reduction in benefits, and now you have a lower amount. Um, and so, also from a number standpoint, I'm going to say that the longer you wait, the more benefits you're going to get over your lifetime, assuming you live past a certain age. Especially as a married couple, that plays into effect as well, because understand when one spouse passes away, they get bumped up to the higher Social Security. So if you're a married couple and you both take it at 62, and one spouse passes away, you might not get that much of a bump. But if we're a married couple and one spouse takes it at, say, 62, the other at 70, and then that higher earning spouse passes away, then the surviving spouse gets bumped up to that higher number. So it's not just planning for you if you're a married couple, it's planning for both of you. Um, and like I said, one of the things can do is we can run some numbers to just take a look at what that would look like. And hold on, here's some questions coming in. Some questions coming in, I'll address those. But let me just kind of share how we can look at Social Security and we can just run the numbers to make educated decisions. So this is just a sample client. And what we're looking at is, okay, what if they take Social Security as early as possible? So in this sample situation, we're 66. Okay, the blue shading represents taking it early. So, okay, yeah, we get some initial years of Social Security. Great. And then the gray shading represents if we take the optimal strategy. So in this situation, the optimal strategy based on living to age 90 is that they take it at 67 and 70. And again, this is where we have software that runs the numbers. Um, let's look at, okay, what if they take it at full retirement age? Okay. Now we're still putting $178,000 less in their portfolio over their lifetime if we take it at full retirement age versus the optimal strategy. Full retirement age versus taking age 70, it's about the same. So again, everyone's situation is a little bit different, but the two things that I'll say is that we want to look at the numbers, start there, and then also look at peace of mind, because again, at the end of the day, it's not about putting up the best numbers, it's making sure you have the retirement legacy plan that you want. And so if it makes you feel more comfortable, take it early, and the numbers say that, hey, that's not going to shoot the plan, or torpedo the plan, then maybe that's the route. So everyone's situation is a little different with regards to Social Security. So hopefully that was helpful. All right. A couple questions here. Second question here. Can you touch on how to approach the first time to sign up for Medicare, the 3 months prior to 65, and what we might need to watch out for or keep in mind? Yep. So Medicare, that's going to kick in at 65, unless you have an employer-sponsored health plan and you continue to work, then you don't have to claim Medicare. But if you don't claim Medicare and you don't have an employer-sponsored plan that qualifies, you would actually pay a Medicare premium. And so we typically have the 7 months. So we have the month that you are turning 65, and then we have 3 months prior, and then 3 months after that. So that's kind of the window where you need to take Medicare without any penalties. Uh, I do have a Medicare expert as part of our team, and usually I'll have them sit down with our clients to help them with their specific Medicare issues. But yeah, the big thing is if you're not going to be working and you don't have a healthcare plan sponsored by an employer that qualifies, you have to take it within 3 months prior to the month you turn 65 or 3 months after the month you turn 65. So you have kind of a 7 month window to claim it without taking any penalties. On a pour over will, so items be listed in there already or add things as needed. So the question is about a pour over will. So understand a pour over will is a type of will that says if any assets end up in probate, the will knocks it over into the trust. Okay. Ideally, everything is funded to the trust, and the only beneficiary of the will is the existing trust. And so understand that to title assets into the trust to make sure that they avoid probate, we need to make sure the trust is funded. And by that, I mean we need to make sure we have beneficiaries listed on the checking account, savings account, the real estate. With regards to all the personal items, Typically, what we do is we do an assignment of personal property that waves a magic wand over all of that stuff, and then it says where that stuff goes. Typically, it's to the kids. But one of the things that we do when we put together that estate planning portfolio is we'll have what's called a personal property memorandum, where you can write out, I want this to go to this person or this to go to this person. So that, hey, maybe if you don't want to just split up evenly amongst the kids, or you want to say, hey, where it's going, um, you're able to do that. So it's not that the will has to be updated for any specific item, especially when it's a pour over will. This pour over will is almost there like a spare tire. It's there just in case. And if you do add personal items, that doesn't need to be updated in the trust because we signed that assignment of personal property. But if you do open up a new financial account, get a new life insurance policy, you need to name the trust as either the owner or the beneficiary. The trust itself doesn't have to be updated. The legal document doesn't have to be updated. But if you open up a new Fidelity account or Charles Schwab account, then you need to make sure the trust is listed there. So hopefully that was helpful. All right, and the last thing I have is with regards to Medicaid. So someone was asking, maximum monthly needs allowance, community special resource allowance for Medicaid. So this is if someone needs to go into a nursing home. There's lots of different Medicaid programs available, but really we're talking about nursing home Medicaid, excuse me, with regards to this. So a married couple, or I'm sorry, let me take that back. A single individual or the person who needs nursing home care can only have about $9,600 in their name. $9,600. That number used to be 2,000. So this is the first year that they changed it in as long as I can remember. So they changed it from $2,000 of countable assets, and we'll talk about what that means, to now 9,600. So for a single individual, or if it's a married couple and one spouse needs nursing home care, the other spouse is healthy, the sick spouse can only have roughly 9,600. Okay. Now, if we have a married couple, they will allow that healthy spouse to keep up to 30,000 roughly of countable assets without having to spend down or do anything else. But anything between that 30,000 and 157,000, that would have to be cut in half. And that's what the healthy spouse would be able to keep. So if we have one spouse in the nursing home, they can keep 9,600. The spouse that's healthy in the community, let's say they have 200,000. Well, that falls within that range, so they would only be able to keep 100,000 of that. Okay. Now, if they were to have $1 million, the maximum that healthy spouse can keep is about 157,000. And that's where we can get involved as elder law attorneys to do Medicaid crisis planning to try to protect more than that $157,000. So that covers the assets. And then with regards to income, so there's two things. One is income, one is assets. So assets are like retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, checking, savings, etc. Income would be like your Social Security and pension. So for the spouse going into the nursing home, they're only allowed to keep $60 a month worth of that income. The rest would have to go to the nursing home, and that's called a patient pay amount. So if we have a single individual with $3,000 of Social Security and pension, all of that less $60 would have to go to the nursing home. They'd be allowed to keep $60. Now, if we're a married couple and one spouse needs nursing home care and the other spouse is healthy, there is what's called a minimum monthly maintenance needs allowance. And that's where they'll let the community or healthy spouse keep anywhere from roughly $2,500 to $3,800 worth of income from Social Security and pension. So it's kind of confusing how they calculate it, but think of it as the spouse going into the nursing home or individual going in nursing home can keep $60. The community or healthy spouse can keep all of their income, but if the sick spouse is the one that has more income, then they'll allow the community spouse to get bumped up between that range of about 2,500 to 3,800, depending on the situation. So that's where we have to separate out assets versus income. And then with regards to countable assets, everything is a countable asset except for your home, prepaid funeral up to about 10 grand. cash value of life insurance of 1,500, personal belongings, and an automobile. Everything else is a countable asset. And so when we're doing Medicaid planning, we're looking at all of these different numbers. And it's kind of confusing, and the numbers are changing each year. Even the home, which is exempt, it's only exempt up to a certain amount, and that number changes each year. This year, it's just over 700,000. So if you have $1 million home, understand that that's not going to be completely exempt. So, all right, that is all I have. So with that, thank you, everyone. Take care. Make it a great week. Bye-bye.